Hi, Rita.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Rita.
Hi, Rita Jo.
Little technical difficulties. Okay,
All good. I can start, Rita, if you want.
lovely. Thanks, Miss Brandy.
Hello.
Hi, Vicki. Hi, Nina G.
Okay, so we are. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Thank you. Sorry. I have to remember to turn off. Once I turn YouTube on, then I have to turn the sound off on it, or I get it all echoey. So thank you all for your patience. So it is 8 o'clock, and we are all excited to be here tonight for the second edition of our 2021 concert series. We are here tonight with the amazing Nina G. I'm so excited to have her here and be able to, of course, hear her comedy, because of course that is just out of control, but also to talk to her about her life, her journey, her books, and just to hear her and Ray go back and forth, there will just be an amazing evening. So Ray Decca, he is here. He is going to be the moderator tonight. I am Vicki Landers, and I run Disability Pride PA, and I'm excited to have everybody here tonight. So we are going to get this thing kicked off. You're going to see me disappear. You do have interpreters on screen. We do have captions. Please go down to the bottom of your screen and you can hit live transcript or CC, or the three dots, depending on which upgrade that you're on. And we are going to get started. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat for us. If you have questions for Nina G, please make sure you put them in the chat, and we will make sure that we get them to her as soon as we can. All right. So welcome, everybody. I hope you enjoy the night, and I will see you all very soon. It's all on you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And thank you to Vicki and Disability Pride PA, who have worked really hard to bring arts into our homes during the pandemic. And they've been, Vicki and her team and Ray being part of that team, they've been doing disability arts for a long time, but we haven't been able to go because it's in Pennsylvania, and we are everywhere else. So it's been great to learn about Disability Pride PA and get involved there. And this, of course, is the first concert that they are having, and I'm honored to be part of it. And also, this is free. And Vicki, is there a place if people want to donate, if they feel that they like they're getting a show and they would like to donate? Is there a thing that they can do?
Yes, they can actually go to our website, which is www.disabilitypridephiladelphia.org, and you can click the donate button, and you will be on that. You'll be on the page to donate. Sorry about that. And we are very excited. And if you want to put it in Nina G's name for the show for tonight, you can put her name in the comments. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Vicki. And also to our interpreter. So thank you all. And also it's great to see so many friends. I see Mark, Dave, Rebecca, and I assume Mark, usually Rebecca and Mark could come in a pair. So appreciate everyone that I know and I don't know. So I am from the San Francisco Bay Area, where I am the Bay Area's only female stuttering stand-up comic, and I'm part of a comedy troupe that I performed with for Disability Pride PA. And the original group, though, the Comedians with Disabilities Act, it was originally a guy who used a wheelchair, another guy who's blind, and another guy who is a little person. And when I joined the Comedians with Disabilities Act, a lot of people said, well, stuttering and dyslexia, because I also have dyslexia, those aren't real disabilities. I shouldn't be in that comedy troupe. And I explained to them, if you look at the definition of what a disability is, according to the ADA, it's a physical or mental impairment that substantially results in having to deal with assholes. So I am pretty sure it qualifies, pretty sure. And thank you for that laugh, Ray. I know you have heard that joke because you've edited that film. So I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And so also I have a YouTube. I would love for you to check out my YouTube channel, not necessarily for the content, but for the comments. The YouTube comments of a female stuttering stand-up comic. Oh my God. There's comments on there like, you should really try weed for that speech problem of yours. Yeah, because this would go much better if I were more paranoid, okay? especially on Zoom. Like, you can never be too paranoid on Zoom. Also the thirsty, because those are the two impacts that weed has on me. But some of the other comments are things like, I really want to see your boobs. A lot of that, mostly that. But I saw one recently. This guy saw a video of me doing stand-up, and he wrote, "This is the bravest thing I have ever seen." That's right. The bravest thing this guy's ever seen is me doing stand-up comedy. And I just want to say, in your face, COVID health professionals. That's right, frontline workers, in your face. Because who's brave? Is it people who put their lives on the line to save others? No, it's me, stuttering dick joke teller. That's who's brave. That's who's brave. So I've been performing a lot on Zoom, but before that, I was performing live, and there were some venues, mostly in the very like liberal Berkeley-ish area, where I would be performing, and women, ladies, I'm sorry it's us, but I would get pity moaned. Okay, I would be telling my jokes, and in the middle of them, I would get oh. And like people looking at their friends like, oh, like that. Which, like, I love sympathy just like all of you. I don't know why it has to be in the middle of my act. Like, why is that the time? Why is that the time that I get pity moaned? Because it's not my everyday life. It's not like when I'm out and I go to Starbucks and I order a latte, and the barista asks me what my name is. And then she says, is that Nina with 5 N's. Where's my pity moan then? Where is it? No, it's in the middle of my act. Like, what is that the place? The other reaction that I oftentimes get from people is they think that I'm faking because, you know, stuttering and stand-up comedy just fits so well with each other. Like, yeah, timing is really easy when you fake a stutter. But I just have a rule. I have a rule that I want to make very, very clear. I have a rule that I don't fake my stuttering and I don't fake my orgasms, no matter how long either one of those two things take. Okay? And they can both take hella fucking long. Okay? Hell is a word that we say in the Bay Area. I know you guys don't, but you know, I'll still use it. And the thing is, stuttering and orgasms have a lot in common. Because if the other person would just shut up and stop interrupting me, I'd finish a lot faster. And that is true. That both of those things are true. And I appreciate the ha-has, and I appreciate the all of the comments in the chat. And we're gonna get into the orgasm stuff a little bit more. So just a heads up, this is an adult show, so you'll hear some adult words and content. So there's this thing that happens when you stutter or when you have any other kind of disability, and that is as soon as someone meets you, they suddenly have a PhD in the thing you have. Oh my God, the advice, right? The advice. For me, it's things like just slow down and breathe. Are you breathing? Breathe. Yeah, I've been stuttering for 40 years. I've never thought of that. And I guess I haven't been breathing this entire time. The advice, it's varied. Sometimes the advice comes in the form of, I was watching Dr. Oz. That's always that. You always know that. I was watching Dr. Oz. You're going to get some shitty advice. Or the other one is I was listening to NPR. Like, I was listening to NPR. You know you're going to get some advice because people hear one segment and they think they know so much, especially if you're in the Bay Area and you're in Berkeley. That is the one that you oftentimes get. But once I was on a radio show, a woman calls up and she said, I have a friend who stuttered, but she found true love. And now she doesn't stutter anymore. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that lovely? Isn't that the biggest bunch of penis cures everything bullshit that you've ever heard? I mean, that's exactly what that is. And it's just not women on the radio. It's also men after my shows. Once after a show, guy comes up to me after my set and says that I stutter because I'm having the wrong kinds of orgasms. And I asked him what he meant by that. And he told me. And I said, I don't think you stutter through that orifice. Yeah, it was the number 3. It was number 3. That's what he said, Ray. Number 3. I won't go into what 3 is. You could use your own imagination. But yes. And it's not only me, men, like women sometimes get this, but men get it too. Because one of my friends at the time, he was 23 and he stuttered. He was also a virgin at the time too. And he was seeing a psychologist. The psychologist tells him, as soon as he starts having sex, he's not going to stutter anymore. You know, because the first time it's not like that big of a thing. It's also going to cure your disability. Like that is how she set this up. And so my friend, I was like, you know that is bullshit, right? And he's like, you know, I am willing to try it and find out. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Not with me, but that's nice. But of course, what happened was the psychologist probably saw, and this is why representation matters. They probably saw One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where the guy who stutters has sex. He is fluent for like a second, and so they probably made some assumptions based on that, which like a psychologist basing their knowledge of stuttering on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or even the King's Speech, is like a paleontologist citing his work alongside Jurassic Park. Okay, it's like a marine biologist citing Jaws. Like this is not how you get your empirical information. Okay, it's not. Anyway, my friend, he started to date this girl, and I could tell that something was going to happen, because one morning I got a text, one Sunday morning, I got a text, and the text read, I still stutter. Cause he did it, yeah. And so I texted back, keep trying. And he still stutters now. And he married that woman too, which is lovely, which is nice. So, okay. So I am oftentimes asked some very weird questions about my speech, and let's just get these out of the way now, okay? Some of the weird ones. One of the ones that I'm asked is, do I stutter when I orgasm? Now, what a lot of you don't know is that when you stutter and you're alone, then you don't stutter anymore. So the answer is no. You get it? It's like an SAT question, like if this, then that, logic. The other question I'm oftentimes asked is, what is the impact of stuttering on oral sex? Oral sex. Take that in and think about it, because men think there's like an extra, you know, like an extra vibration. And I don't know about some of you, but it's really hard to stutter with dick in your mouth. And that's been my comedy part of the show. You always end on a dick joke. Let me tell you something about comedy. You always end on a dick joke. But instead of ending on that, I also wanted to share a little bit about how I got started in comedy. And it's also partly what inspired me to write this book, to Stutter Interrupted, the comedian who almost didn't happen. Available on Amazon, but fuck them. Buy it at your independent bookstore. And so the way that, okay, so stand-up comedy is something that has been very special to me forever. It is a thing that I have loved my entire life. Like my kitchen, obviously this is my kitchen in Oakland. And by the way, I have rent control. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it means that they can only raise my rent a teeny bit every year. And because I have rent control, that means that I have two people on the face of the earth who are rooting for my death. My landlord and his wife. So that's how rent control works. That's how the economics of the Bay Area work. So here we go. But what I was going to say is that in my kitchen, I have comedy everywhere. I have my picture of Lenny Bruce. I have my Chris Elliott Cabin Boy, if anybody knows Cabin Boy, please, somebody must know Cabin Boy. That is the cupcake. Okay, Ray, this is the cupcake that spits tobacco. All right. Yes, it was. I had it made for a cake. So I love comedy. Okay, I have a picture of Emo Phillips that I got when I was 13 years old, hanging up over by the entry. It is a thing that has meant the most my entire life. And when I was around 11 or 12, I decided that I wanted to be a stand-up comic, and I would listen to all the albums that I could. I would read all the books that I could, and then I started to write material. And then when I was about 16, because I was driving, I called up this bar, Dorsey's Locker, and Dave knows this, who was on here. And I called Dorsey's, and I asked them if they allowed minors at their open mic, to which the bartender yells out to the rest of the bar, "This bitch wants to be Eddie Murphy." To which I hung up the phone scared, because he knew my secret. I really did want to be Eddie Murphy. He was totally right. I did eventually go to that mic as an adult, and I headlined there, so very triumphant. But at the time, I hung up the phone, and that was it. I never performed. And it wasn't because of the bartender at Dorsey's, and it wasn't because my jokes weren't good. They weren't good, but that wasn't why I didn't perform. It was, now, and my jokes were stuff like, why did what did Ginger and Marianne do for tampons on Gilligan's Island? Did the professor have to make them out of coconuts? Like, not good jokes. They should have never, like, I shouldn't even say them now. Not good jokes. But that was not why I didn't get up on stage. The reason why I never got up was because I'm a person who stutters, and I never saw anybody like me in the 1980s and the early 90s do stand-up comedy. So I thought you had to be fluent in order to do comedy. Now, cut to, so that was when I was 17, the dream died. When I was 35, I went to a conference for people who stuttered. And when I went, I didn't know the kind of impact that it would have on me. There, I was around 500 other people who stuttered. And there's a theory on stuttering that says that it is like an iceberg. So what you all see at the very top are the repetitions, are the blocks, are us trying to get out the word. And beneath the waterline are the feelings that are associated with stuttering. And Joseph Sheehan said that these included denial, fear, shame, anxiety, isolation, guilt, and hopelessness. I have felt all of these things at one time or another because of my speech. Now, when I was at the conference, I started to have a shift. And the thing is, icebergs are a lot like clouds in the sky, that depending on your perspective, you might see something different. If a cloud passes by, it may look like a scary dragon, but when your perspective changes, it could look like a cute bunny rabbit. And what happened at that conference was that I had a shift in how I saw my iceberg. And part of that was because I realized that women, we give up space in the world. And I realized how much the stuttering had impacted that. and you know, there is that spreading thing that you see on the bus, all of that. I realized how much I was holding back because of my own anxiety, my own guilt around having somebody else sit through my speech. And being around other women who stuttered made me question that. And I was like, I wouldn't want less for them. So why am I having less in my life? So when I stepped off the plane back home in Oakland, I had the same iceberg. It was still the same, but the shift happened and the perspective shift happened. Instead of denial, I had acceptance. Instead of fear, I had courage, and not the inspirational porn kind of courage. It was courage to live my life the way that I wanted to. And I say that because I've been at events and people will come up to me and say, you are such an inspiration. If I talked like you, I wouldn't talk at all. Not really a compliment. Not really a compliment. Anyway, denial turned to acceptance, fear to courage, pride or shame to pride, anxiety to comfort, isolation to community, guilt to forgiveness, and hopelessness into hope. I had a perspective change, and that is the thing that gave me courage to change my life. And that started a number of things in my life that I changed, including some relationships. And 6 months after that conference, I got up on stage and did my first open mic and did my first comedy show. So the dream did not die. It was interrupted. And oftentimes people who stutter, we are interrupted all the time. People try to, I'll be doing and people start yelling, pizza, pumpernickel. And isn't that just wait, it's cool, just wait, it'll come out. And so I found that I was self-interrupting. And I not only interrupted my speech, my conversation, but my dreams. And a big part of being a person with a disability is to disrupt those interruptions that we have, because we get this stigma in our culture. And that is exactly why we need to have pride, and exactly why it's so great to be part of PA Disability Pride, which I know I messed that up because I have dyslexia, which I say with even more pride. And with that, I'm going to give it over to Ray, and I'm going to sit down now, and hopefully you can't see the mess that's in my...
Oh, do not even worry about that. Do you not see the craziness in my pop culture museum closet office room? But yeah, hell, for those of us who's been watching you, or having meetings with you, it's always about the kitchen, or if it's nice enough, the backyard. But wait a second, did you mute?
No, I'm good.
Huh? Oh, okay, that's what I thought.
Or are we good?
Oh yeah. Nah, Vicky was just telling me that I'm actually a little hard to hear. I had to use all my onboard stuff because I'm using an older computer for some reason. Anyway, but well, you know what? Before I get in here, I want to read a little bit about, like some of the points. Well, a little bit of like your biography. For those who might not know everything about you. All right. Well, for starters, Nina G is the San Francisco Bay Area's favorite female stuttering stand-up comedian. Granted, she is the only one. She is a professional speaker and author of Stutterer Interrupted, the book she showed us earlier. And the children's book, Once a Pun and Accommodation, a book about learning disabilities. When she showed me this, it was so amazing. Folks, you've got to check it out. She's also a disability activist and educator. She brings her humor to to help people confront and understand issues such as disability and equity. Or is that Anyway, Nina's one-person show Going Beyond Inspirational, which is a comical exploration about growing up with learning and speech disabilities, debuted in 2015 and was featured on CBS's San Francisco local station. Now, stand-up comedian Nina G is challenging how people think of stuttering. Her comedy is funny. As you see, it is funny, revealing, unapologetic, and always a window to her experiences as a person. We've heard her experiences, did we not? Woo! Woo! Got me a little, under the collar, excited. Anyway, oh God, Vicky's going with me. Anyway, Stutter Interrupted, Nina calls the story of her journey of how she became, at the time she started, America's only female stuttering stand-up comedian. Now, people with learning disabilities are faced with many challenges throughout childhood and adulthood. One of the first places they experience difficulties is in school. Yeah, we all know that one. School is not only an important time to learn academic skills, but also an important time for children with disabilities to learn about their strengths and how to advocate their rights. Now, Nina has told us a little bit about her school stuff, so you know how she started handling it. So, all right, research on successful adults with learning disabilities demonstrates that factors associated with these adults include self-awareness, being proactive, perseverance, goal setting, support systems, and emotional coping strategies. Now, fostering these qualities in children can be just as important. And, yeah. So now, once upon an accommodation addresses questions children and adults may have about learning disabilities, accommodations, and how to go about self-advocacy. It is important for individuals with learning disabilities to take ownership of their challenges, strengths, and to advocate. Now, also, some of Nina's accomplishments are like, well, she has been featured, on NPR, 51%, BBC's Ouch, Psychology Today, TEDx, multiple daytime talk shows, Howard Stern, oh my God. Anyway.
Howard News. It wasn't the real show. I didn't have to take off my top or anything. Howard Stern News.
I didn't even think about that at first. Damn. Anyway, and even the Stuttering John podcast. She's even been on the Stuttering John podcast. Oh, God. Ooh, imagine an interpreter working with that. I mean, a caption guy working with that one. All right, now, as we all see, Nina shares her wit and wisdom, but, like with us, but she also shares with corporations, colleges, libraries, conferences, and community events. Lord knows I've had the pleasure of knowing her now for almost a year, and, well, you all know. Anyway, now, her no-nonsense approach to disability awareness and acceptance helped to bring institutions, communities, and individuals to deepen their understanding of the disability and bring practical approaches to making a more inclusive society. And also, Nina is part of this badass comedy troupe, which I see at least one of them are in here. Hey, Dave! Called the Comedians.
Mom and dad. So it's his mom and stepdad are here too. So it's the mean parents are in their house too.
Oh, okay. Hey, Mom and Dad! Okay. Anyway, the comedy troupe, which is called the Comedians with Disabilities Act, which brings laughter and awareness to audiences of all ages across the country. Lord knows they have brought serious laughs over here to all of us on the East Coast. Okay, I just know that as soon as this pandemic finally gets a good dent in it, I am so wanting to do a trip to Cali. And anybody who knows me knows I don't like to travel. Anyway, that I will. Now, like I said, getting to know Nina like I have in the last like almost a year now, and I just want to tell you guys, she is not kidding. She is truly a comedy fan. Like me and my buddy Phil, one of our favorite pastimes is always referencing the Dave Chappelle show, you know, different things from it. Like it's part of our vocabulary now. And it was so funny, like the first time I started talking to Nina, you know, it was something that she was referencing from the Dave Chappelle show. And she was like so afraid that not so afraid, but she was like, oh, you guys probably wouldn't know. And as soon as she said it, I was done. I was like, yes, Chappelle show. And, you know, that's just, you know, one example. Like, you know, like she's pointed out, she's got a portrait of Lenny Bruce up in her kitchen. Not in the living room, in her kitchen. You know, she needs to make sure he's like right there. And yeah, the cabin boy cupcake. Wow, that's wild. Now,
So much to know that.
now, Nina, out of curiosity, what, what else do you know? What else do you want to like get into? You know, so many comedians, you know, they find themselves getting into like different arts and everything. You know, like acting and everything. I'm just curious, what would Nina like want to try and expand herself into?
You know, right now, like I didn't think that I wanted to write a third book. I thought I was done. And then I thought about it, and I am working on my third book now with a friend of mine, OJ Patterson, and we're doing the history of San Francisco comedy. So we have that we are working on. It's going to be published under History Press, and like I said, comedy's meant a lot to me my entire life. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm fifth generation here, so my roots are pretty deep. And pretty much the thesis in the book is that everything good about comedy came from the San Francisco Bay Area. Like the brick wall, that's us. The brick wall is us. The first time that a woman broke through the glass ceiling, that is because Phyllis Diller, she was one of the first the female comics to really break that ceiling. She's from she's not from Alameda, but she lived in Alameda, and then she worked her way into San Francisco, into the Purple Onion, where I've performed. It's now closed, and Dave has performed there too.
Okay.
But that is my next thing, other than just doing as much comedy as I can do.
Cool, cool. Yeah, that's so upsetting when when I turned on the news early one morning and there it was, Phyllis Diller died. And then right after her, the same day, Cicely Tyson. I was like, why are they cleaning out all of our icons? Anyway,
Yeah.
but okay, that's great. I'm really glad to hear that you got more of a pub. You know what? Stick to it, girl. You know, do the author thing. Yeah. Like I said, folks, like both the books are great, but you will see something so amazing. You will feel some sort of way when you read that children's book. Like I would say, I would want it to be read to any child. You know, because some people are gonna be like, well, we should only be reading this to, you know, a child with a disability. You know, no, it's she hit the money. It should be read to everyone, even a few adults. Yeah. Wait a second. Was there like any questions from anybody?
There are some questions in the chat, it looks
Yeah.
like.
Okay, there's one that I just saw pop up.
I
Do you
asked a
have-
question. It's Izzy. Hi.
Hey, is
I asked if you have any disability role models.
that's what I was getting ready to ask.
Yeah, let's see. I think like it's my favorite Stutter, and there's a few, but my favorite Stutter is Mel Tillis, who is a country singer from the
Yeah.
70s. And the reason why I admire him is that he was probably one of the first people who really came out stuttering. Like, he didn't hide it. And part of the background of that is that he started to sing. He hated to talk. And Minnie Pearl said, "You have to talk. This is country. Country people want to hear from their artists." And being warm and being inviting, all of that, that is part of it. And people will accept your stutter if you kind of accept it first. And so I really admire him because he just came out with it like that. And so he's one. I mean, and then, you know, in comedy, there's people like Jerry Jewell who did not fit. Like, right now, I kind of feel that in order to be a disabled comic on TV, at least in America, not in the UK, but in America, you pretty much have to be a white man with a disability, because Josh Blue, Brad Williams, lots of them, not a lot of people who have intersectionality. So Jerry Jewell snuck through that before anybody else, and she got through. And so I admire her. And dyslexia, you know, Fonzie, I love. Like, you guys know that Henry Winkler has dyslexia, and Fonzie and his A was because he would forget his lines and then he would have to compensate. So A came from dyslexia. Fonz would not be as cool as he is if it were not for dyslexia.
I did not know that. I mean, wow. I mean, I knew about the dyslexia, but I did not know that's how the hay came. Wow. And Mel Tillis, I really wasn't aware that he was a stutterer. Wow.
Watch some of the interviews.
Yeah, you know what? That's probably why I wasn't aware, because I just always watched performances, you know, growing up in Hee Haw country as I did. Wow. Oh, wow. Hey, you know what? All right. You know what? I thought we were going to wait till like the very end, but a lot of people want to know about how it was performing with the Biden inauguration, the whole celebration.
Okay, so I got to perform the first night.
Wait,
so
how did it come about?
How did it come about? Somebody on the committee asked me, because they were lining up who was going to be on what night. I was on the first night. I wasn't on the Lady Gaga night. So just to be clear, I wasn't on network. I was online, but still, it was still very, very cool. Whoopi Goldberg was on that night. I can now say that I opened for the for Vice President, but Biden Harris, so I could say that. So it was a really cool experience, and they had to vet me first, and then I did it from the Alameda Comedy Club, which is a newer club, and also it's a club of my hometown. So they had to vet them, and I filmed it there. I had my parents in the audience. And so that was great that you could see the back of their heads, and the audience was just them. I should make that clear. It was COVID time, so I performed for my parents, who have heard these jokes a gazillion times because they've been to a ton of my shows. So they faked, laughed, and clapped, and then it was on. And like the reason Joe Biden, he has been very open about his history. It's his history stuttering for a long time, and that has been great. I haven't always liked how he talked about his stuttering, but during the Democratic National Convention, I felt that he finally got it right. That it was not necessarily something to overcome, like I overcame, and it's like George Washington and the cherry tree that I overcame. You know, it's like their hero's journey. I felt that it was more than that at the DNC. So I was very happy to see that. And I was happy to be part of a narrative to kind of get it straight that like, this is not something I'm overcoming. I am 47 years old. And in fact, I've overcame it a lot less during the pandemic, where my stuttering is a lot more now than it has been. So I think it's important that we have access to a narrative that makes sense to us, because you know, the inspiration porn, all of that stuff. So I felt it was very important. It was also hard to get through 5 minutes and not say fuck, or you know, it's hard to stutter with a dick in your mouth, but you have to class it up. You have to class it up. So there you go.
Oh, okay. Now, you know what? There's this one question that everybody really wants you to answer. And it's so funny because, like, yes, it was a very good question to ask. Let me set it up first. Now, you know, when we just before we started, you were like talking about, yeah, this is great. I'll be able to do the Q&A with Ray. You know, me and Ray, you know, we're like, cool. I can be comfortable and everything. And, you know, a lot of times when I am on these Zoom events, I like to turn off my screen because then I want to light up my cigar and just drink and smoke and look like a heathen. But it was so weird. The first time you brought up my name, I was like, oh my God, I'm her actual visual audience. I need to just go on ahead and sit here and give her the reaction she needs, you know? So
And
now,
I thank you.
well, you know, it was my pleasure. You always, I mean, even with just our regular conversations, you have me dying. Oh my God, like when Phil and I be talking to, yeah, yeah. But there was a question asked by Nelson. Now, I'm just going to read the question verbatim, but Nina, nice to see you again. Now, do you feel that virtual performances are more difficult since you can't feed off the audience in the same way as at a live show? And have you ever blamed a stuttering moment on a Zoom technical glitch?
I have not blamed it on a Zoom thing, but I will tell people in the beginning, I stutter and you have shitty internet. That both those things can't be true. So I do use that. I do use that in a different way. So like performing on Zoom is it's weird. It's just weird, and your timing is a different thing because you don't have the whole audience laughing. You may just have a couple of people in the same room and they laugh with each other, but you don't laugh as much if you're not in an audience. So like the timing of it is faster. So this may have been a half hour not a half hour, I'm exaggerating. Like what I did could have been like 25 minutes to a half hour if it was live. But here it's not. So you just run through it fast. But that is also what a lot of comics, when they are on Letterman, see, I'm old, when they're on shows that they have to perform live comedy on the late night shows, that you perform to the camera and not to the audience. The audience is there, but they're way, way back. So to me, it's really good training for that. But I also like, when I get in here, this is because I want to touch you people and I want to that interaction I love. And so just trying to express that in an authentic way, and doing it in a different way on Zoom.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? It's so funny because like my brother, Charles Walton, professional comedian with, cerebral palsy. Charles did his first Zoom performance, video performance last year for Disability Pride. And it just was killing him because he's used to feeding off the audience. But then I turned around and I also saw how like when me and my buddy Ian from House of Edge, when we were doing last summer, a lot of our little skits and things, it was all about the conversation. I started noticing that's what the comedians need to do. They got to sit there and conversate. You know, like you said, like the way it is when they're on a talk show. You know, hell, when they're like on the Actors Studio, you know, certain comedians when they're on that show, you know, they have me dying laughing. Yes, there's an audience, but they're not thinking about the audience. They're thinking about what's his name as he's doing it and everything. Thank you, Nelson. And you know, so like oh wait, before I get more into it, what do you have coming up? That's a question that's being asked, and I want to make sure we have enough time to make sure that's answered.
What I have coming up are some college gigs. I do a lot of college gigs. I have next week I'm doing a conference, but me and Mean Dave, who is on the thing, and Michael Beers, we perform a lot for nonprofits and for colleges, and you know, and people I think don't necessarily know how to do that right now. We can do it on Zoom. It's cool. Like, this is great to have this kind of interaction. So I'm doing a lot of those shows. Also, things are starting to open back up in the Bay Area. So over the weekend, I did 4 live shows. Oh, and can I tell you about my show on Saturday?
Yes.
Okay. I'm performing in the Haight-Ashbury, and it probably hasn't changed much from what you guys all think that the Haight-Ashbury is. I'm performing on the street there. They have the booths in the parking spots, and people are drinking, and the show's outside. I was the headliner, and there was an intoxicated man who was across the street who mocked me the entire set, almost the entire set. And Jason and Dave were there, and they saw, and that is, it was so weird and surreal, because the guy's like, bah, 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 and then told me to shut the fuck up, all this stuff. And then the audience, who was a very lukewarm audience, it almost seemed like they didn't know how to interact outside their house. Like, it was their first time outside of the house, and they were in shock for all the other comics. But then when I came on and that happened, it's like we had a common enemy, and the audience started to flip him off and say, and told him to go fuck himself. And I just I went through, I did all my jokes, I went through, and I did it. Yes, and of course he stayed right across the street where he could do this. Also, it was good. Like I'm cool. Stay across the street, because I didn't want to get involved, because I didn't know what was up, you know. But what was interesting to me was the way that I ended my set was, listen, audience, I have been interrupted my entire life, and tonight I was interrupted, and I'm used to it, and I go through it, but it was nice to have you guys along for the ride. And it was kind of cool that an audience got to experience a little aspect of my life. That is something that I've got my entire life, and now the audience got to witness that. And so I'm still like processing it and figuring out what all that means. But I was also high, because anytime I get high from the interaction.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Adrenaline.
Yeah. And so it was, you know, just anytime that I'm heckled, I kind of feel like I have a black belt in heckling, because when you are a disabled woman, you get shit all the time. So when I'm heckled, I'm like, yeah, come on. Like, I'm the guy belt who walks down the street hoping someone does something so that you could do it on them. So that's my experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and also Dave wants me to share, and this is a video that I have up online. Once a guy, I get up on stage and a fight breaks out off stage, outside. The cops come, and then this guy runs to the back. When the cops come, he's flushing drugs down the toilet. And I'm telling my jokes. I'm acting like nothing happened. Nothing happened at all. I just keep on. And then the cops come. One of the cops sat and he talked to me during his set. He asked if I had any cop jokes. I said, all I have are cop of the field jokes. That's all I have. And then the guy gets arrested right in front of my stage. And by now there's 3 people there. Like, but I kept on going. Anyway, that was one of the experiences that I've had. And I really think that, I think that stuttering and disability, there is a resilience in the arts that, like, you've learned how to attack problems, or how to work through things because of that experience, that I think works really well in the arts. And that's what it's taught me.
Yeah. Wow, that's wow, that's a very funny getting arrested right in front of Whoa! Wow! Does anybody have another question? Anybody in particular? No.
Well, thank you, and I'm seeing thank you, everybody. I love to share this kind of stuff, and I love these kinds of shows. And especially love to work with people who are awesome and great, and Vicki and Ray are. And you guys should donate. If someone can put the website in so that people can donate, that would be great. So
also, remind them about the April event. Remind
What's
them about the April event.
Yes, and in April, there is going to be a Comedians with Disabilities Act show through this avenue. So it's going to be me, Michael Beers, and me, Dave, and we're going to perform, and maybe we'll do a Q&A. So maybe I'll do some different jokes. I have some long vagina jokes that I would love to do for you guys. So maybe we'll do those then.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you, Ray, for moderating tonight. We also want to thank Brandy and Rita Jo for including for us. Again, you can go to disabilitypridephiladelphia.org/donate to show us some love. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and being with us for the 2021 concert series from Disability Pride PA. And Nina G, it is always a pleasure to have you on. We just love talking to you, of course, I love dick jokes. So, and I'm looking forward to some long vagina jokes.
I can't wait for you to hear them. So it'll be a fun night.
Yes. So I want to thank everybody again for coming. We had a great night. Thank you everybody for showing up, and we hope to see you all soon. Information about next month's event will be coming out very shortly. And remember, it is the last Tuesday of every month, right here on Disability Pride PA. And tonight, if you missed part of the show or you want to see more of it, please make sure you go to our YouTube channel, Disability Pride Philadelphia, and you can catch the whole show. So thank you, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see you all very soon.
Thank you, everybody.